and full of atmosphere here, because Sun Kil-moon, very much a Korean hero and one of the great warriors of the ring. And I remember him first at the Los Angeles Olympics when he defeated Liverpool's John Hyland and the American Robert Shannon, but was beaten with cuts in the quarter-final. And since then, he's had a lot of problem with the scar tissue. So in the green trunks then, Sun Kil-moon, he won this championship in a blood and thunder battle actually against a Ghanaian, Konadu, and that was in Seoul last January. Japanese have started to come to the front a bit. They went a long time without getting a world championship. But this fella's twice fought the Thailander Kaosai Galaxy, whom we've seen quite a bit of on Fight Night, or the WBA version of the super flyweight title. That's the 8-stone 3 division. In many ways, Jim, a similar style. They'll stand head on, these two, battling away. It's inevitable.
Yes, Matsamura, more of an upright boxer. He steps in well, gets good power into the punches. He started off well here in the first round. He's taken the fight to the champion. He's not allowing Moon to back him up. So we're off to a good start. This looks like a little cracker.
Oh, they're not worrying about defence anyway early on, certainly not the Japanese.
Masamura was shaken by that punch, Reg. A little delayed action on his legs. That was a good shot.
The Korean takes his share of stick, but he's really one hard nut. As you can see, he's got him in the opening round there, and is giving him the, well, it's not really a standing count. He went down, so that's why he's getting the mandatory 8. So now, down in the first round, he's got it all to do, the Japanese.
Well, I was remarking that Matsamura was an upright boxer, but that's a couple of times in the first round he's been caught with wide sweeping hooks. So maybe it's time he got his chin down a little bit.
It's one of the few of the small guys, Sun Kil-moon, who hasn't grown, in fact gone down a division, because he was a bantamweight in the Los Angeles Olympics, and what a punch he hit John Hyland with, rather like that one. Well, there's approval, isn't it? One inscrutable face, but the others seem to approve of it. Full 8 count. Are you okay, saying the American referee. Good start by the reigning champion then. He's made 2 defences and then lost on points to Galaxy in Bangkok. Held the WBA Bantamweight Championship at one time, Sun Kil-moon, and that was against Galaxy on a technical decision. That means cut around the face and then getting the cars to see who was ahead at the time. So end of the first, and certainly Matsuura is pleased to see the end of that one. Atmosphere, you could almost cut it with a knife here. It's almost like it was in the Olympic Games. Jim, in replay.
Well, a couple of times Matsuura just caught with his head too high. That was more of a stumble. I think the damage was done a few seconds before that. He took a good, the second punch, that was a far better punch. Caught him on just on the top of the head.
Out for the second. Scheduled, of course, for 12 rounds of championship fight. 3 judges, and the referee doesn't score. And, well, the American boxing press always say that these titles were really created for the Orientals. And so far, of course, that has been true. What a bang-up this is going to be, though, Jim. They might be super flies, 8 stone and a bit, but they can certainly get stuck in.
Yeah, well, I think it shows what a good little fighter Moon is, because Matsuura putting up he really boxed well in the first round, putting up a brave stance. He just doesn't have the power. Every time Moon lands solidly, you can see the effect of the punch. But their heads are beginning to bang. See, you can see as soon as Moon starts backing him up and getting his shoulder into the punch, Matsuura's in trouble. He's
always campaigned in top class, Sun Kil-moon. His amateur record was outstanding. He lost only 7 of 126 and stopped or knocked out 98 of them. So when he turned pro, he was already a good pro. His last fight was against the Mexican Gilberto Roman, one of the great champions, who was sadly killed in the car smash shortly afterwards.
Matsumora's really putting up a good show here. He's banging in good punches, but he just doesn't have the power. He can't match Moon for power. And these tactics, I don't think are going to work, Reg.
He swarms all over the opposition. But he's a gutsy guy, Matsumura. You can't take that away from him. He's taken more stick than most of them would against this fellow.
See, Moon finds a way to whip the punches in, even up close. He still gets full power into the punch. I was very surprised if Matsumura lasts much longer, Reg. This is the wrong kind of battle he's waging here.
He's certainly offering him the head, isn't he? Charging in like that. Maybe it's a kind of let's get stuck in or bust attitude by the Japanese. Tough audience, Jim. They expect blood and value for their money, and they're certainly getting it.
Yeah, they're getting it here all right. I'm surprised there's not more facial damage, because there's some amount of punches been landed in the first couple of rounds here, and not really even a bruise showing up yet. A little bit dangerous with his head then, Matsumura.
Champion's only lost one fight from 13. And the obvious roars of approval there, and quite rightly. And full marks to this little challenger. He's certainly giving it a go, and he's been under fire from the off. Oh, there it is. Well, I can understand the cameraman waving the lens there when he's interrupted by the rounds girl going past. And again, to get in the picture, Jim.
So they're really banging away. I think the atmosphere has got to both the kids here, but the power is coming from the champion. The challenger landed bang on there, but didn't really get any effect whatsoever. The champion just seems that little bit strong. See, there he goes again. Every time he lands cleanly on the target, Matsumura's in a little bit of trouble.
And we're out for round 3 then. It's Sun Kill-moon really battering away at this very gutsy little fellow, Kenji Matsumura from Japan. Been a pro since 1985. And he fought Calsor Galaxy for the WBA Super Flyweight Champion. Well, only the third, Jim, and I'm telling you, the bruises of battle are going to start now, because Matsumura saying, OK, if that's how it's got to be, we'll stand and trade till one of us falls. And at the moment, it's him. Wasn't the right thing to do, was it?
Now, his tactics have been a little bit reckless. We saw in the first round he didn't have the power to match the champion. Then he should have changed his tactics. But he's landing good punches, but they just don't seem to having the effect. And as soon as he gets caught with a good shot, he's in trouble.
He knows what it's like to be in a rough ride twice with the Thailander Galaxy, one of the famous twins. And both went to the 12th round, one on points and the other finished in the 12th. With Matsumura losing both, so you'd think he'd want to, well, not exactly get on his bike, but try and get out of the way occasionally.
See, his punches are getting home, Reg. He's getting home, he's boxing well, he's landing good punches, so he probably feels his tactics are right. And that was the best shot Matsumura could throw, and the champion's still there. That was a lovely punch, but no effect as far as the champion's concerned. So he can be forgiving for keeping these tactics going. He just doesn't have the power, I feel.
Like a couple of little machines, aren't they? Toy bulldogs going at one another. Feet stamping of approval, not disapproval. What a battle.
Well, he's beginning to drive the champion back now. A little change in fortune. If he doesn't have the punching power, he certainly has the strength to trouble him. He's pushing him back now. Been non-stop in this round. I mean, there's no breather at all. They haven't even clinched, and finally they do. No, they don't. They're starting again. Referee hasn't had to call break. think there's the same authority in the champion's punches as we've seen in the earlier rounds, Reg. Maybe it's because he's been pushed back, his weight's a little bit behind himself, but he's not getting leverage into the punches here. So obviously this is a slight change in Matsumura's tactics.
Oh, it really is some war, this one. Well, time to get your breath back there, isn't it? The crowd approve of that, okay? So they're patching this fellow up in the corner, and they need to, but a good comeback he made there, the Japanese. Jim, quick look at the replay.
Yeah, well, certainly the best round of the fight so far. Just a stumble there, over he went. Not really a tremendous punch landing there, but another knockdown.
So there it is again now. The left hook does it as he stops there, and it's time for a break, but we'll be back with more action. So welcome back then for this WBC Super Flyweight Championship, and right at the end of that third round, and we're coming out now for the fourth. Cut over the right eye there. It's usually Sun Kill-moon that suffers the cuts early on, and there it is there. You can see over the right eye. Now, is this going to cause another problem? He's already been in controversial fights in a way because they've won them on technical decisions, which never used to happen, but the referees, should they want to, can stop a fight and call on the scorecards if the cuts have been caused by blows and not deliberate butting. But there, I thought, was definitely a butt coming in there, and Sun-Kill acknowledged that, Jim. It's a bit too obvious there from Matsumura.
Yeah, I think it was on the cards that some damage was going to take place here, Reg. They've been going at it so fiercely from the outset. Heads have been banging together. I didn't actually see the clash that caused the cut, so I can't say if it was a clash or a punch. Plenty of punches were landed, but look at the mess of the champion now.
Over both eyes, Jim, he's got cuts. Can't go 12 like this, I'm sure.
Well, there's only a but that caused the second cut, because the referee did warn Matsumura about that. But what a terrible state he's in now.
Look at those rope burns. The Japanese back there, Jim, must have been shoving him. It looked like rope burns anyway.
Well, it's certainly given Matsumura a new lease of life. As you can even see here, he's very untidy, very careless with his head.
Well, this is one of those old street battles, Jim. Very exciting for the crowd, but not exactly the noble art of self-defense at this stage. What a punch-up. You don't often see harder ones in this. I know they're little fellas, but there's plenty of weight behind those punches.
Yep, and I think Moon realises time is short here, Reg. He's going to have to... He's complaining again about the head, but he's going to have to get this man out of there.
Taking time off the referee, while he's warning both boxers, actually, to keep the heads up. I don't know why they bothered to tell the timekeepers that. Probably a second and 3/4 he took to tell them that.
Yeah, well, Matsumura seems to have warmed to the task now. He's not been shaken, but the same punches that shook him in the early rounds, not shaking him now. So Moon in a little bit of trouble suddenly, Reg.
Matsumura's left eye's closing a bit as well. But it's definitely the Korean who's in trouble with those cuts. He really has got a lot of scar tissue now. As I said earlier, right back to his amateur days, he lost a good chance, I thought, of becoming Olympic champion in the quarterfinals. Lost with a cut. So he was about to talk to them, the referee there, and the timekeeper came to the rescue now. They're going to work hard there in that corner. And they're not doing anything about it much, Jim, at the moment, are they? Have a look at this.
You see, very untidy all the way through. Although it has to be said, Moon has been as untidy with his head almost as the champion, but he's the one with all the damage. So they're bumping, boring, and banging all the way through. but his punches are not having the same effect on the challenger.
Well, they're out for the 5th anyway. That surprised me. I thought they may call a halt at the end of the 4th there. He's looking in bad shape, Moon.
There wasn't a lot of urgency in Moon's corner to get to work on the damage. They acted as though they'd all the time in the world.
Yeah, I got the impression they thought the referee was calling the doctor up there, but still, they should get on with this. Rather like football, play to the whistle.
Matsumoto still pushing him back. Yeah, obviously that's the...
He's coming into the fight a lot now, Jim, too, isn't he, the Japanese?
Yeah, well, the punches he's taking are not having the same effect. His confidence is growing, and as the champion here in a terrible state with these cuts. So he must be feeling pretty good at this moment. Yeah, Moon becoming very ragged. Again, another warning. That's at least 3, possibly 4 warnings Matsumoto's had about dangerous head work.
Yeah, he won't get any favours if they do call the judges' cards.
There's not the same authority in Moon's punches as we saw earlier, Reg.
No, it is. He's been in too many wars against too many good fighters, and particularly, as I say, even back in the amateur days. Started to win the championship with the Blood and Thunder against Kanadu of Ghana. Time off again in the 5th round. He's making it very clear. And again, warnings. I don't know whether he took a point away there, Jim. It wasn't very clear.
Yeah, that looks like what he was doing, and that's it's not doing the challenger's cause any good whatsoever if the fight is stopped early, Reg. He's looking very confident indeed, really fancies the job now. You wouldn't believe he's already been on the floor a couple of times.
No, you'd have bet big odds against him standing up after a couple of rounds. Amazing, Jim. Remember, the Japanese 30 years old. He's 3 years older than the champion. I thought we'd have heard a bit more about him early on, wouldn't you? I did when he fought Galaxy twice. Oh, he's really nagging him now, probably quite rightly. And he's saying, yeah, that was a clear point taken away there. So the end of the 5th. Well, chance again to get the breath back, and you're wondering how long it's going to go on. Jim, replay.
Well, I thought the referee maybe a little bit severe on the challenger there. There was one pretty bad butt. Yeah, that was a bad butt. But I get the feeling the referee was on the verge of disqualifying Matsumoto. That would have been harsh, I think.
And so the doctor says it's all over, and it's going to the old technical decision bit, which is very difficult these days. Remember, Lloyd Hannigan lost it this way. Who's ever ahead on the judges' cards will win the championship, or in his case, retain it. Looking very battered indeed. And the master of ceremonies there, if we can interpret those. So, Sun Kil Moon's won the first vote anyway. And he's won the second one. So that's it, he's going to retain the championship, okay. He's looking like the battered loser. So Sun Kil Moon then retained this championship. He's done it the hard way, but I think he might cancel his next fight and take a rest.
So Moon retains his super flyweight title, but once again he does it with the help of another technical decision. Not very satisfactory, but those are the WBC rules. Right, well, we're going to take a short break now. Coming up in a couple of minutes, though, more World Championship boxing, including the challenger they have high hopes for in Mexico. We'll be right back.